G'day and welcome to another Safety at Work blog update. My name's Kevin Jones. I write the Safety at Work blog and consult on health and safety issues here in Australia. So look, if you have a chance, or if you have a need for somebody with some creative thinking on safety, please drop me a line. It's been a very busy year in health and safety in Australia, particularly because we're coming up to a federal election, which is next week, and the major parties all have bits and pieces about health and safety. Some of these policy statements I've written about on the blog already, but there are more coming up. I think I'm getting some feedback from the Victorian Socialist Party this week, so there should be a blog article coming out on that soon. So health and safety is under discussion and in the public eye, but certainly not to the extent that it should be. And there's plenty of indications that health and safety in Australia is, other than business platitudes of health and safety is our number one priority, or the push for industrial manslaughter laws, there's nothing really about the improvement of health and safety at the shop floor that is happening. So that's very disappointing. Health and safety is at the moment being seen as pretty much a second order issue. So that's unfortunate and uncomfortable for those of us who think and maybe know that it is more of a first order issue and a critical business concept. So that's rather interesting to see how that will develop. There is a national safety conference happening next week, also after the election. So I'm hoping that there'll be plenty of politics available in the conference. In the past, they've kept away from it, but given that the conference happens 3 days after a federal election and a possible change of government to a Labor government who's traditionally been stronger on health and safety than the Conservatives, it'll be, I'm hoping that politics will be discussed, and if it's not, I'll try to get it discussed and put some pointed political questions to the delegates. So that's what's happening in the next couple of weeks, and I'll be reporting on that from Sydney. From I think about the 12th of the 20th of May. But anyway, it's coming up. I wanted to mention just a couple of quick books. I know that a lot of subscribers to the Safety at Work blog like when I let them know about new books, mainly because they don't hear about these from anyone else. So there's of the current crop that's out, I think there's a new one by Andrew Hopkins. Always interesting to read a sociologist talking about health and safety. Andrew's new book is called Organising for Safety, and it's subtitled How Structure Creates Culture. And this is a real challenge to those who talk about incremental change and trying to change culture from the individual employee or worker perspective and building a culture from that. Andrew questions that strategy, which will be quite or should cause some ructions in the health and safety profession. So that's a really good book, and I'll just move it out of the way. There's also a book that's been out for a little while now called Whispers from the Bush, and it's subtitled The Workplace Sexual Harassment of Australian Rural Women. Now, I find that's a fascinating title, and given that we're in the middle of a national inquiry into sexual harassment in the workplace, it's a book that I'm looking forward to reading and hopefully interviewing the author, who I'll get her name right, and her name is Skye Saunders. So I'll be looking to interview Skye shortly and see what we can do about getting some background to that book and that issue. So a fascinating book, and I'm hoping to get more out of that. I think also, as with Andrew Hopkins, Michael Toom has been on the health and safety agenda for quite some time now, and he's written extensively about health and safety, but also always in a broader context. His latest book is well, there's a few books that he's got out, but the one that I've got is the third edition of his book, which is called Safety, Security, Health and Environment Law. Most of these law books are quite dull for the legal reader, by going by case law and so versus this and this concept and that concept. Michael has a little bit of that, but he's not dependent on that. And in fact, some of his non-legal commentary about social movements and employment law consequences on the community are, I think, more interesting than some of his legal commentary. But it's a terrific book. He's I don't think he's talking at the Sydney conference in a fortnight's time, but his offsider, Elena Titterton, is. She's talking about industrial manslaughter laws and bringing us up to date on the status of that in Australia. But Michael's busy with a couple of books for CCH. This one on safety security, his third edition, is with Federation Press, a small but very active publisher in Australia, and one of the few independents left, which should give us more attention to them because of that. So there's a few books that are out. Some of these books will be available for sale at the conference, which is a nice change. I think more books should be for sale at safety conferences. But they do take time to read, but they're usually quite valuable. So I'm going to wrap it up because we're getting it around about the 6-minute mark. You'll get more reporting from me in the conference in just over a week's time, but the blog will have 2 or 3 articles each week at least over the next few months. So if you want analysis, commentary, but also some articles that bring to your attention publications, research papers and reports that you don't hear about. It's not covered in the papers. Sometimes the OHS newsletters just pass these things by, so I like to think that, well, I know that I'm bringing some new things to the attention of the OHS professionals who read the Safety at Work blog. So anyway, I'll wrap it up there. Please tune in. I hope to be live or doing a video diary of the conference, but there'll be heaps of stuff on Twitter, Facebook and LinkedIn, and of course the Safety at Work blog over the next fortnight. So thanks for watching. Please follow, and if you get a chance and you have the opportunity, please subscribe to the Safety at Work blog. I'm Kevin Jones, and thanks for watching.